books about ancient history, I think.
These books are ancient history. I think they'd crumble into dust if I
Good
tried.
excuse.
Thanks.
A book? Fundamental.
I guess somebody dropped.
Uh,
I'm not sure.
books
Soil
about
sample.
ancient history? Sure. Why not build a...
The search for new knowledge. The
These
archives
books
downright
are
poetic
ancient
history. I think they'd crumble into
illustrated.
It's
dust
been
if I
left
tried.
open.
Or it was left open for us to find.
Ever so slightly
I guess.
unnerving.
I'm not sure.
Curious. I would expect bacteria of that nature to thrive in these conditions.
Excuse me.
Taking all the environmental factors into account, there must be something I am still missing.
May I talk to you, miss?
She knows we're here. She just doesn't care.
I am a detective, and I need to talk...
Correction. You do not need to talk to me,
Oh no? How come?
because I am not a suspect. I am completely innocent of any and all crimes.
Thanks for letting me know.
Speaking of which, you have now been at Tangle Tower for over 23 minutes. Surely you have already reached a sturdy hypothesis.
A hypothesis? About the murder?
Yeah, come on, Grimoire, hurry up.
My apologies. Unfortunately, protocol dictates I must at least meet all the suspects. And that includes you. So, could you tell me your name?
Fifi Fellow, microbiologist, inventor, innovator. You will need to be more specific. Oneself cannot be summarized in a single response without doing one a great disservice.
So true.
Well, first of all, you're a fellow. So does that make you the daughter of...
Correct. My father and mother are named Flora and Felix, but you need not question either of them. It will only waste valuable time. Neither of them are capable of murder.
Thanks for the tip.
Fifi, you said you were a micro... something or other?
Microbiologist, but it is an insignificant label. My studies cannot be categorized in any one recognized field.
What made you want to become a scientist in the first place?
I harbor an intrinsic fascination with the microscopic. I constructed my first one at age 10.
Constructed a microscope?
Correct.
And what's that thing on your head? Did you make that too?
My eyesight began to deteriorate when I turned 12. Not satisfied with the eyeglasses prescribed to me, I designed this custom lens instead. It automatically adjusts based on the surrounding light conditions.
Does it glow red when you get angry?
No, but that would be most amusing. What can you tell me about the murder?
What can you tell me about... Wait, that's what I'm supposed to ask you.
Yes, however, you were too slow.
You fancy yourself a detective too, Fifi?
I just need to know what happened.
Me too. So talk.
Fine. I knew ahead of time that Freya was going to be busy with her painting all day, so I had planned to spend the afternoon with Poppy. I was in the library all morning preparing the equipment for an experiment, only to find out that Poppy had made other plans and she was in fact planning to ignore me completely.
Oh.
So what did you do instead?
I locked myself in my room and cried.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Why?
I don't know, it just sounds kind of sad.
It is not unusual.
Oh. Good.
I was in my room. The lights were off and the door was locked. Someone began banging on the door. I ignored it until the someone began shouting at me. I opened the door. Poppy came into my room. Her makeup was leaking. She told me Freya was dead. I did not believe it. I thought she was playing a trick on me, so I punched her in the face. She insisted that we go up to Flora's tower. We left the room, and Poppy's father was waiting outside. He followed us upstairs. When I saw Freya lying on the floor, I was completely and utterly devastated. Then, I took a sample of the red paint on the unfinished painting. Poppy and I took the sample back downstairs to the library. We performed a test and found out that it was, in fact, blood.
You performed that scientific test immediately, even though you were feeling so upset?
Of course. Why would one affect the other? Name, Freya Fellow. Age, 19. Profession? Artist. Deceased. Understand this. Most people find me difficult. They exhibit a noticeable degree of discomfort when talking to me. There it is. Freya, who had a way of being an exception to any given rule, was not at all like this. She is very important, and I will not rest until I understand what has happened to her.
Did you spend a lot of time with Freya recently?
I will say this. In the past year, Freya became 1. Increasingly independent, and 2. Increasingly isolated.
Do you know why?
I do not. If you are looking for a speculative, empathetic opinion, try asking Poppy instead.
The three of you are friends.
We are of a similar age, and all highly gifted. 1 scientist, 1 artist, and 1 musician.
Sounds like quite a team.
Name, Percival Pointer. Age, 57. Profession, none.
I'm pretty sure he's an astronomer.
Oh yes, of course. How uncharacteristically forgetful of me. Name, Flora Fellow. Age, 44. Profession, unknown. Likes, unknown. Dislikes, unknown.
Isn't she your mother? How do you not know anything?
I believe other people may have discovered methods of reaching her, but I have little capacity for interpreting nonverbal communication.
And how long has Flora been non-verbal?
She has always been quiet, willing to speak when necessary, but not more.
So what happened to make her stop talking entirely?
She suffered a great loss, something she has been unable to move beyond. Freya is normally highly skilled at capturing someone's likeness, but in this painting, she has accidentally made Flora look quite young.
I think she was just being kind.
Why is that kind? Anyway, I'm far more interested in what Flora is holding. I performed the test on the red paint myself. I discovered that it was in fact not paint, but blood.
What made you want to test it in the first place?
It was Poppy. She told me she thought the painting looked like a bloody knife. I told her not to be ridiculous. My mother owns no such knife. But then I noticed that the color was slightly too dark, and the substance itself was overly viscous.
You noticed that just from looking at it once?
Of course.
Fifi's bedroom should be unlocked now.
Can't wait.
Fifi's got something pinned.
What is all this? Who is that?
No idea.
Who is that?
No idea. That's gotta be Flora. Who's that?
Not sure.
Looks like Professor. Is that
That's just the face you make when you're thinking. Does make you wonder, though.
That's you, Sally.
What? I do not look like that, do I?
Did you notice who isn't on here?
Freya?
Mm-hmm. And Fifi. It's a magnifier.
How come you don't have one?
Why? Because I'm a detective. Should I start smoking a pipe, too?
You couldn't pull off a pipe. I don't know what that drink is, but I bet it's 99%.
I'd read you the ingredient, but there's nothing...
That's even worse.
What's that?
Looks like something
Is it a clue?
I hope not. It's just a bunch of notes about her microbiology.
It looks like a mic...
Can I touch it? I'm not...
I guess
The
that's...
4 lenses all have different, so they must each have a specific...
I'll do this later. A new sus... Don't think you can get out being questioned.
I'm innocent, I promise.
Save it for the judge.
boxes of stuff.
Oh, whatever it is, it's...
Well, it is the music room. He's got to practice.
What's with all the broken glass?
Are you a ghost?
Sally! That's rude! Unless she is a ghost.
It may come as a disappointment, but I am alive.
Ah,
That makes you a suspect, I'm afraid.
I know.
what's your name?
My name is Poppy. I'm a pointer. And a pianist.
We'll need to ask you a few questions about Freya.
I know.
Hey, you're pretty good.
All in the wrist. And 13 years of dedicated practice. I'm just me. There's nothing to know.
How are you related to the other pointers?
My father is Percival Pointer. The professor spends most of his time hidden away in his tower. Barely speaks to anyone these days. Especially not the fellows.
Do you get on with the fellows?
2 of them. Fifi and Freya are my closest friends. We all turned 19 last year.
Do people ever leave Tangle Tower? I don't mean to be rude. It's just, if you're 19...
You don't have to answer that, Poppy.
It's a fair question. I'd like to move away. Definitely. Fifi, Freya, and I would often talk about it, argue about it. Freya wanted to leave, but Fifi... things are more complicated for her.
What about now?
After what happened, I really don't want to stay here much longer. 3.5 hours of piano practice. Soon as I wake up. Same as always.
3.5. Does that not hurt your hands?
Sure.
And you do this in the music room?
No, I prefer to practice in my room. When I make mistakes, I like to make them in private.
What did you do after that?
I was supposed to meet Fifi in the library, but I totally forgot. When I finally got down there, she'd already gone. I checked her bedroom, but it was locked.
Was Fifi not in there?
No idea. She keeps her door locked either way, so I went back upstairs and out into the moonlight garden.
The what?
The little garden on the roof outside my room.
Was it just you up there?
No. Fitz came outside after a while. His room's on the other side. He's been teaching me about flowers.
So, did you talk to him?
Not really.
You ignored each other.
I didn't say that. Fitz and I were up in the moonlight garden most of the afternoon. Then we heard this sound. Lasted about 3 seconds. I've been trying to decide how to describe it, but I'm struggling. It was like something drilling into a piece of metal, but different. Worse. I was pretty sure it was coming from Flora's tower, so we went up there to check. Her door was locked. Nobody was answering. I knew Freya and Flora were both supposed to be in there, so I made Fitz kick down the door. I went inside. Freya was lying on the floor.
Flora was in the room too?
Yeah. I think she realized what had happened at the same moment I did. I didn't know what to do, so I ran downstairs to get Fifi. Her door was still locked, but I knocked and shouted at her. Eventually, she let me in. The lights were off, but I could see she'd already been crying. I told her what had happened. She didn't believe me. She got angry. First time I've ever seen her angry. I dragged her out into the hall. My father was there too, for some reason. The three of us went back up to Flora's tower. Then Felix arrived. He had Penny with him. Fifi had this idea. She wanted to do some kind of scientific test. She took me down to the library. We were in there about 15 minutes. After she was done, she went back upstairs and I went back to my room.
That's it?
That's it. Don't look at me. I didn't break it.
Does anybody else use the music room?
Yes. I don't know who, but I can tell when somebody else has touched the piano. Hard of head, but free of mind. Unimprisoned, unconfined. With starry eyes, she sees beyond. Behind our walls, beneath our pond. A soul untied, it's hers, it's free. Was then, is now, will ever be. Between the lips a silver spoon, a story written all too soon. The chosen dwelling of her heart, unjustly chosen to depart. Lost her liberation lays in the center of a maze. That's me. I'm on a list of murder suspects. Always thought that would be kinda cool, but it's just tedious.
Falls a little short, doesn't it?
Eavesdrop what the stars are saying. Earthly tether, slowly fraying. Floating, helpless from the worst of jealous hunger, selfish thirst. Take a moment, kneel and meet the flowers growing at your feet. Needless noise from tongues expel, unless within the mouth they dwell. The spoken word, unfit for dealing with the shifting form of feeling. Stand unblinking in the face of taciturn and soundless space.
All right. Poppy's bedroom is
I
on.
wonder what's in there.
What else would it be?
Sheet.
That's a lot.
Probably while they're on the floor.
It's a globe.
For globing. Are they?
Whatever they... It's like a little parade.
Who plays the...
It's... So I'm guessing...
Anything in the wall?
Dresses mostly. I never realized there were so many shades of black.
Oh, thank goodness. They wouldn't want it to be...
It's a metronome.
It's ticking. Is it a bomb?
It's supposed... Not sure what those symbols are. There we go.
Perfect. What happened?
A little hatch unlocked in the back.
Anything in there?
Mm-hmm. It's a photograph. Part of a photograph.
There's a name. You know. Sheet music.
It's only a few notes. I'd barely even call that music.
Yeah, it's been framed, though. Must be important for some reason.
It's an octave.
No, it has 6 legs. Don't say it.
Sextopus.
Various hand.
What do you think those say?
Hopefully, nothing. A big glass leads out into.
There's a little mechanism.
Nothing. Still,
All 4 tiles have a moon.
those other symbols look like suns.
I
Surely.
think it is, but
Nope.
maybe the
So where is it?
somewhere else. I guess we'll come back later.
Just a bunch of nothing weird about
To you.
that.
I thought vampires slept.
This is a vampire who needs firm support. A lamp. It is most empty.
Locked.
There must be some way to...
There's a metal plaque.
Is there a
I
message?
think there was, but someone scratched it.
Is that a...
If it is, it's a.
I'm guessing it doesn't tell.
So what does it do?
Just gonna rest my brain.
Whoa. Nice cape.
You're not fellows or pointers. I'm sure I shall immediately regret asking. But who are you, and what is your business here?
I'm Sally, and this is my sidekick Grimoire.
A private detective, Grimoire.
Really? You're a detective. If this is a joke, it's not a good one.
Who are you, anyway?
Private Detective Hawkshaw.
Oh, nice. Hawkshaw's a cooler name than Grimoire. Maybe I'll become her sidekick.
You're not on the Freya Fellow case, too, are you?
That is classified information between myself and my client. Clearly, this is something which eludes you. But a real detective refrains from handing out informations to persons unknown.
Oh, right.
Now, if you would, I have work to do. It's not in my interest to discuss personal details.
Even if you're one of the suspects in a murder?
Very well. Let us make a small exception. Ask.
Oh, what are you doing here?
I'm on a case at the behest of my client.
How long have you been at Tangle Tower?
133 hours. 5.5 days.
Who are you working for?
I am not at liberty to answer that. Now, I shall permit you one more question.
What crime are you...
How'd you get that scar? It's cool.
You really think so? As it happens, I completed an examination of Flora's room on the morning before the murder. I've been investigating every single room at Tangle Tower. Hers was one of the last on my list.
Did you find anything unusual?
Nothing but a thin layer of dust and an atmosphere of somber melancholy.
Was Flora in there at the time?
She spent the duration of my search staring up at the sky, out the open window. Didn't say a word, although I'm told this is the expected behavior.
What did you do after that?
I spent the early evening searching the library. It took longer than it should have. Fiona leaves that room in a permanent state of disarray.
Fiona was in the library too?
I expected her to make an appearance, but she did not.
And you stayed in the library the rest of the day?
Not quite. Towards the early evening, my examination of the library was unexpectedly disrupted. Sounds of running, wailing, shouting from several floors above. I vacated the library, but before I could begin my ascent, Professor Pointer appeared. He emerged from the Pointer staircase, crossed the hall, and begun up the Fellows staircase. Our eyes met. He was breathless. Something had caused him great alarm. He told me to stay out of the way. I consented. I decided to return to my office in the stone square. As I was passing through the front door, Penelope called out from behind me. She was clutching the banister of the Pointer staircase with an apprehensive manner. She wished to know where Professor Pointer had gone. I told her what had transpired. Then, she too crossed the hall and disappeared up the Fellows staircase. More so than at any moment prior, I felt like quite an intruder in the house. I took my leave, out towards the stone square. The grounds were silent. There were no signs of human life. Even the greenhouse was without its typical inhabitant. I noted that he, too, must be entangled in whatever was transpiring in Fellow Tower. An unremarkable hour passed before the gardener finally made his appearance. He spoke to me of what had occurred. His report was as clumsy and cumbersome as the man giving it.
Did he seem upset?
He was rattled. That much was clear. But sorrowful? Mournful? I cannot say. Freya Fellow is of great interest to me. I perceived her to be the most intelligent individual here at Tangle Tower. Within a day, she had identified for whom I was working and for what I was searching. I didn't know how she did it. I was impressed. I regret that I did not question her more thoroughly when I had the opportunity.
You couldn't have known she was about to be killed, though.
I have only myself to blame for failing to perceive the signs.
What signs?
I do not wish to do your job for you, Detective. Quite the stoic statue, isn't she? I can only dream of being as cold and indifferent as Flora Fellow.
You think she's hiding something?
Perhaps. She has some strange habits. I heard she barely sleeps, an hour here or there, sporadically. Spends the rest of her time staring up at the sky. Professor Pointer is a respectable astronomer. Keeps himself to himself. What?
We're just surprised.
That was the most polite you've been about anyone.
Considerably intelligent, and her powers of observation are enviable. But she has no ambition. No focus.
In her defense, she's still a teenager.
Barely. Poppy has remarkable musical talent. She could be famous, wealthy even, if she wanted to.
She'd probably have to leave Tangle Tower first.
Quite. 314 cases solved. 314.
Looks like it might. Grimoire, you go first. A little chart of... Actually, I have no idea what it's... Kinda reminds me of a period.
Greek letters? Greek letters?
Kinda reminds me of a...
What do you make of it?
Not a whole lot. Tools used by gardening. That's a handsome beast. Looks like he might... Hanging basket.
To you, mate.
You're only 2 inches.
2 inches makes... It's good.
Total luck.
I am not. This one's in a little pot.
Okay, that is definite.
Looks like a gemstone, don't you think?
Hanging basket.
To you, mate.
You're only 2
inches? Sally, don't move. We're being watched.
Yeah, I see him. He's a little too big to hide in the bushes. Is anyone going to say anything? Or shall we just stand around staring at each other?
Right, sorry. Sorry.
That's better. I'm Sally. And the guy hiding behind me is Detective Grimoire. Who are you?
Fellow. the gardener.
Mm-hmm. And why are you so tall?
I don't know.
You work here as the gardener.
I don't get paid to do it. It's just my area of interest.
What's the deal with the plants? They're all kinda weird.
Right. Did you see the lake?
That giant green and purple lake surrounding the entire house? Yeah, I clocked it.
The color is just a byproduct.
Of what? Poison?
It's not poisonous. Not to you.
What's this got to do with the plants?
The water controls all life, just like anywhere else on the planet. Clouds form, rain falls. The water grows the plants, animals eat the plants. Anything you've perceived as an irregularity is simply a result of this hydrological cycle.
Could you say that again, but like, condense it as if you were talking to a slightly stupid person?
Our lake water causes the unpredictable alteration of DNA. Sometimes.
Alteration? Like mutation?
That'd be the official term. For us, it's normal. Just nature.
And you're the local expert on all this stuff?
No. I'm just the gardener. I was in my greenhouse, watering and weeding.
Sounds exciting.
Was anyone else around?
Not at first. Penelope came in a little later. She likes looking at the flowers, I think.
Did you speak to each other?
A little, not too much. We both left the greenhouse in the early afternoon. I went up to my room. Then I came back outside to weed the main gardens. Didn't see anyone else. After that, I went up to the garden outside my room.
And?
Let me guess. Watering and weeding.
Right.
Did anything happen to you yesterday, Fitz?
I was up in the rooftop garden. It was quiet. And then, it wasn't. I can't describe it. Could have been a scream, but it didn't sound human. We thought it was coming from Flora's tower, so we went up there.
We?
Poppy was with me. Did I not mention that? Flora's room was locked. That's normal. She usually locks it from the inside. I knocked on the door and shouted. Nobody responded. We became concerned.
You kicked the door down?
I did. Poppy and I went in. Freya was right there, laying on her back. Flora was there too, but I barely noticed her at first. Poppy left the room for a while. When she came back, she had her father with her, and Fifi too. Penelope arrived shortly after that, with Felix in tow. I thought that was odd. You don't normally see the two of them together. Felix took charge. There was nothing else I could do to help. I wanted to go back to my room, but I realized nobody had told Detective Hawkshaw anything. I found her pacing back and forth around the stone square. When I approached her, she snapped at me. I think she was annoyed about being made to wait outside so long. But when I told her about Freya, she fell silent.
Have you met this guy, Fitz? Shifty eyes, doesn't say a lot. Totally suspicious, if you ask me.
That's me.
Yeah, it was a joke. I was joking.
Oh, I see. Poppy and I are friends.
Oh, I can buy that. Dark clothes, blue hair, an average of 3 words per sentence. Oh, you're like 2 peas in a pod.
She's very kind, and she has an interest in plants. Unusual flowers, mostly. I've been teaching her.
Right.
Is something wrong? Fifi doesn't like me.
What did you do?
I'm not sure. If you find out, maybe you can let me know.
I imagine you don't visit the astronomy tower too often, do you?
No, but I still see Pointer, sometimes. He's always curious about what I'm growing in the greenhouse. Asks me about the birds, too, and insects. He's pretty clued up on his evolutionary biology.
I didn't think there was much overlap between astronomy and biology.
She questioned me.
About what?
My work, the plants, bit of everything.
Did she search the greenhouse?
No, she didn't.
You sure? Maybe she did it when you weren't in there.
No, she hasn't touched it.
How can you tell?
Trust me, I can tell. I like Flora. I hope she's all right.
Do you think she had anything to do with the murder?
There's no way. She wouldn't willingly cause any additional suffering for anyone. She was always kind to me. She'd come into the greenhouse when I was working, sometimes by herself, sometimes with Poppy. I think they were just bored at first. Eventually, they started asking questions.
About what?
Poppy wanted to learn about flowers. Freya, she used to ask me about the insects.
Insects?
One of my jobs is to protect plants from things that might eat them. Freya brought me this little glass box, leaves and twigs inside. She'd say, put all the troublemakers in there. Every day I'd put a handful of beetles and other things in the box. Then she'd come along and take it away. I didn't really understand her, but she was always kind.
Fitz, one of these drawings is of you, in the rooftop garden, I think, with Poppy.
Mm-hmm. Are we done? I've seen beetles with brightly colored shells, metallic shells even. They're relatively common, especially around here. There's a difference between that and actual gold.
It can't be actual gold. Gold is just inside the earth or whatever. You can't make it. That's called alchemy. It was a whole thing.
This is a good example of how things work. I mix that soil here in the greenhouse. It's made with water from the lake.
And it makes the fruit grow all shiny and gem-stony.
Sometimes. You never really know what's going to happen.
And what do you do with this shiny, inedible fruit?
You look at it.
Fitz's room is unlocked. It's up in the...
This could be interesting.
Hello.
Not hidden very well, is it?
Doesn't need to be. It's a combination lock, sort of. Let's take a break.
It's a little handmade. Inside it says, to Fitz, from PP.
That poor...
Looks pretty.
healthy. I think it would rather be outside.
And empty.
Looking at it...
Why?
I don't know.
Huh.
They're just decorative.
Oh, so decorative. It's locked.
I thought we were halfway up.
We are.
What's that thing by the handle? Let's come back once we...
A big glass door leads out.
There's a little...
Something
That
happened.
must be it. And the
I still feel like... Didn't we...
we did, but
It's locked.
I thought,
We are.
What's that thing by the...
It made a noise.
I guess that... Finally.
Whatever's on the other side. It's another little statue, doing a really bad job of hiding in the bushes.
He's playing a lute this...
He's also...
Well, they're not part of the statue, and they're not headphones. They're earmuffs. More egg statues.
I don't get it.
Well, either they or the sculptor was just...
What do you mean?
An egg has got to be the... giant stone frog.
Yeah, he's got his tongue out like...
Except those aren't snowflakes. They're feathers. It's one big...
Or one very... It's a rose. Apart from a couple...
The roses
are
exactly.
a little
Look,
pot.
see those metal bars?
Oh, yeah.
Nothing. It looks like somebody broke them and then...
Trees.
In a garden.
In a garden.
More eggs.
I don't get it.
Well, either or the sculptor.
What do you mean?
An egg has got to...
The door into...
So, only Poppy and Finn...
Ah, I get it. It's
One
the...
of only
Oh,
two...
yeah.
Softly does the flower grow, all in time, and time is slow. Rest a seed within the earth, but do not rush its gentle birth. Hour by hour, day by day, tune your heart to nature's way. With surging tide, the waves are thrown, but on its surface you may see, reflected in the waters be, the orchestrator, pale and still, pulling strings, enacting will. Hey, that's me. Not a bad likeness.
It looks like you're standing in a rose bush.
Is there something wrong with that?
Do you know where those earmuffs came from?
I put them there.
Why?
I found them lying around. I think they belonged to Fitz. I put them on the statue so he'd see them. I thought they looked like headphones, like he's in the recording studio with his guitar. No?
If they do belong to Fitz, he hasn't taken them back yet. When did you find them?
This morning.
Where?
I don't know, in a hallway. Can't remember exactly. Oh, you've been to the greenhouse? What did you think?
Impressive, I guess. But kind of unsettling, with Fitz lurking in the shadows the whole time.
Yeah, he does that. Don't you think that's weird? That the letter isn't addressed to anyone? Or signed by anyone?
Someone's being deliberately secretive.
Or they're trying to manipulate you. Yeah, it's mine.
Can you play the tune for us?
Sure. It's literally 8 notes. I have it memorized.
What do you make of the statue?
I know that's the only harp in the whole of Tangle Tower. I've never actually seen a real one.
Maybe it's from before your time.
Oh, definitely. You see how old this statue is?
What about the symbols? One of them looks like piano keys.
Yeah, weird.
When did Freya draw the picture
I
of...
didn't model for her, if that's what you're asking. She must have done it without my permission.
Could just be from memory. It's not quite as detailed as the others, anyway.
Is that a clue?
Dunno. It was important enough to be framed, though.
I framed my law degree, doesn't make it a clue.
Same? Yeah?
Do you also have a pile of leaves as a clue?
Oh, not yet. Did you see some suspicious leaves?
Conveniently left anonymous. It's useless until you can prove to whom it concerns. Can you do that?
No?
No.
It's a sea serpent turned into...
If you... What happened?
beheaded by the same wizard.
It's Tangle Tower, or at least it... It's a barometer.
I've never seen a barometer, though.
What?
He's an imp.
What does he...
Well, if you tell too many lies,
Oh.
the entire room is
No, it's not just made. I think it's the actual hull.
a little hand paint.
How can you tell?
Well, the paint. Also, I mean, no offense, but you can just tell.
Sir? Can you hear me? I'm Private Detective Grimoire. I have some questions for you.
Grimoire. Good mysterious name. I'd rather like it. Felix Fellow at your beck and call.
And, this is my colleague, Sally.
Yeah, that's a perfectly good name as well.
Thanks.
If you would, Mr. Fellow, we really need to ask you about the murder.
Well, I must say I'm rather jealous of you two.
Oh, yeah? Why's that?
Out here solving mysteries, exploring new places, uncovering secret rooms, hidden treasures. That's what life is all about.
Secret rooms?
Generally speaking, you know, that sort of thing.
So, Felix, what exactly do you, do?
Is it not obvious? I'm an explorer. Explorer/treasure hunter. Yes, well, best in the world.
We're talking like curse statues, spike pits.
It's a little more sophisticated than that. But I've certainly seen my share of danger, if that's what you're asking.
And, if I may ask, when did you retire?
You listen here. I may be between ventures right now, but it's simply not in my nature to stay in one place for too long. I go wherever the winds of destiny take me.
Don't you live here with your wife and daughter?
Yes, well, the Fellow family has certain loyalties, and with Flora the way she is...
Nothing wrong with raising a family, Mr. Fellow.
Don't misunderstand me. Fiona and Flora are my entire world. They are the greatest treasure of all.
Uh-huh.
Why on earth would you want to know about that?
The murder of Freya Fellow. The reason we're here?
Ah, right. Nasty business. Very unfortunate. I regret that I can't be of any help, but I wish you all the best in your investigation.
Hear that, Grimoire? We're done here. Let's go.
It's a simple question, Felix. Well, I'm sure you're up to it.
Well, there's not much to tell. Mostly, I was in my room by myself, working on Flora's, working on a project.
Your room is quite close to Flora's tower. You didn't hear anything unusual?
What qualifies as unusual?
What have you got?
It was dusk. A feeling lingered in the air. Malevolent, perhaps. Uncertain, as life itself.
Abridged version, please.
Right, fine. I heard someone heading down the stairs, just outside my room. The footsteps were calm, orderly, so I thought nothing of it. Shortly afterward, I heard a second set of footsteps, going the same way. This time I could tell just from the sound that something was wrong. So I looked out into the hallway. I got a glimpse of Poppy disappearing down the staircase to the floor below. Didn't know what to make of it, to be honest. I thought perhaps she'd had a disagreement with Fitz, as I know those two are close. So I looked into his room, just in case, but it was empty, as was the garden beyond his window. Back in the hallway, I bumped into a very concerned-looking Penelope. She was heading up Fellow Tower to find Professor Pointer, so I escorted her. We went into Flora's room. Poor Freya was laying on the floor. Fiona, Poppy, Fitz, and Pointer were there already. Flora, too, of course. Soon enough, everyone else made their excuses and left.
Including you?
Not I. I stayed. Flora needed me. I've been carving for a couple of years now. I was hopeless when I started, but it didn't take me long to master it, as you can see.
Do you paint them yourself too?
I do indeed. Freya kindly taught me the basics. Nowadays, I can make just about anything I can imagine. Of course, this particular model is a self-portrait based on hard fact.
Hard fact, huh? So, you own a sword, Felix?
Of course. I own a great many. But my weapons are stored well away from Tangle Tower. Safety first and all that.
What is
I think it's a family.
Fiona? We met her. She's one.
Flora Remington.
We met her. She's one.
Penelope Pointer.
Half pointer, half.
Do you think she still lives here? Poppy Pointer. We met her. She's.
Felix Feller.
We met him. He's one of the. Fitz Feller.
We met him. He's one. Freya.
The murder victim.
She's barely related to me. My little writing desk.
There's nothing written in the book. Although. I don't.
How do you get your
I do it by weight. I can feel if one side is heavier.
I feel like I'm standing in a giant birdcage.
Oh, just beautiful. What is it?
Huh?
Sort of a delicate jade, but with a little seafoam green, is that right?
Sorry?
Your hair, dear! Which shade do you use? It's lovely! And that shape, you're really pushing the envelope.
Oh, thanks. I do what I can to offset Grimoire's beige on brown ensemble.
Detectives don't need to be brightly colored. We prefer to blend into the background.
Oh, you're the detective? Delightful. Penny Pointer, pleasure.
Is that short for Penelope?
Officially, yes, but I never can be bothered with all 4 syllables of it. Penelope sounds a little ostentatious coming out of the mouth, don't you think?
Sure. Yeah.
20-something, Aquarius, love to travel, and nearly all of my friends are birds.
Travel? Where to?
Anywhere at all, as long as it has species worth studying. Ornithology, they call it. I call it the only thing I've ever been good at.
And have you studied the birds here at Tangle Tower?
But of course! Where else do you think I developed my love of the field? No matter where I go, I always find myself coming home to Tangle Tower.
Because of the birds.
Oh, no, because of him! Silly to admit, but I suppose I can't bear for us to be apart.
Who are you talking about?
Oh, don't you know? My fiancé, dear Fitz. He's not really the traveling type, you see.
Fitz Fellow.
The very one.
You're engaged to a member of the Fellow family? That's interesting.
I'm not especially interested in whatever tedious feuding goes on between our two families. Fitz and I find it much easier to stay out of it altogether. I awoke early and headed down into the greenhouse to see Fitz. He's always there, crack of dawn, every morning like clockwork.
How come?
It's where he's happiest. That, and he has a great deal of work to do every day, watering, pruning, mulching, whatever that is.
Do you help him with the work in the greenhouse?
Oh, no. I wouldn't dream of it. I'd probably break something.
So, you stayed with Fitz the whole day?
No. In the early afternoon, he went back inside. Rather suddenly, as it happens.
Did he say why?
He didn't. Probably just a touch of heat stroke, the poor dear. He's more delicate than you'd think.
What did you do after that?
Let's see. I returned to the aviary to feed my birds.
And how many birds are you responsible for?
Officially 4, but in truth it's more like 400.
Can they not feed themselves?
Of course, and they often do. But I think they just like the company. As do I. Sometime in the evening, I left the aviary and headed back towards my room. But in the hall, I spotted Uncle Pointer heading down the stairs. He was muttering something. Seemed a bit upset, the poor dear. I followed him down, but the grand hall was empty by the time I got there. Empty aside from Detective Hawkshaw, who was loitering over by the library. I don't know what it was, but she looked a little lost. I inquired about the professor, and she told me he'd gone up the Fellow Tower. I ran up the stairs, hoping to catch up with him, but Felix appeared and blocked my path. For some reason, he was coming out of Fitz's bedroom. He looked rather lost, too. I told him I was looking for Uncle. He suggested we look up in Flora's tower room, where you could see from the hallway. The door was off its hinges. I knew then something was terribly wrong. A moment later, we were gazing down on the body of poor Freya. Uncle Pointer was there. Fitz, too, standing over in the corner with Fifi and Poppy.
What about Flora?
Of course, silent as ever. Uncle suggested we should leave. Give the others some space, you know. So he and I both returned to our rooms in Pointer Tower. Somebody taking an interest in extinct animals.
Extinct?
Oh, yes. The book is very old. Most of the birds in it are long gone.
Well, what about this bird, though? The ink dip.
This one? Well, it was thought to be extinct for a long time. Then one was found here at Tangle Tower.
So it's not extinct.
You misunderstand. It was the last one. The very last.
Oh.
There used to be all kinds of birds here at Tangle Tower. The most fascinating breeds, all totally unique.
Used to be? There are birds all over the place.
Most of them are rather ordinary, I'm afraid.
What happened to the non-ordinary ones?
That is a very good question. Ooh, delightful. More of a gemstone than a fruit, isn't it?
Inedible, too, I think.
Yes. At one point, I thought Fitz might be growing them to sell them. But honestly, I think he just likes the way they look.
We can get into Penny's.
Now, like, right. That's all the
Let's
statements.
go over them all. That's all the statements collected. Let's run through them all to see if anything doesn't add up.
To see if anyone's been lying.
That too.
Fitz and I were up in the Moonlight Garden most of the afternoon. Then we heard this sound. Lasted about 3 seconds.
We thought it was coming from Flora's tower, so we went up there.
Her door was locked. Nobody was answering. So I made Fitz kick down the door.
Poppy and I went in. Freya was right there, laying on her back.
I left my tower and headed down towards the Grand Hall.
But in the hall, I spotted Uncle Pointer heading down the stairs.
I vacated the library, but before I could begin my ascent, Professor Pointer appeared.
I didn't know what to do. So I ran downstairs to get Fifi.
I heard someone heading down the stairs. Just outside my room.
Someone began banging on the door. I ignored it until the someone began shouting at me.
Eventually, she let me in.
I spotted Detective Hawkshaw coming out of the library.
He emerged from the Pointer staircase, crossed the hall, and begun up the fellow staircase. As I was passing through the front door, Penelope called out from behind me.
I inquired about the professor, and she told me he'd gone up the fellow tower.
I told her what had happened. She didn't believe me. She got angry.
I thought she was playing a trick on me, so I punched her in the face.
I recognized Fiona's voice as well as the voice of my own daughter.
We left the room, and Poppy's father was waiting outside. He followed us upstairs.
I ran up the stairs, hoping to catch up with him, but Felix appeared and blocked my path.
Back in the hallway, I bumped into a very concerned-looking Penelope. She was heading up Fellow Tower to find Professor Pointer, so I escorted her.
Poppy left the room for a while. When she came back, she had her father with her, and Fifi too.
Felix and Penny arrived shortly after we did.
A moment later, we were gazing down on the body of poor Freya.
Then I took a sample of the red paint on the unfinished painting.
She took me down to the library. We were in there about 15 minutes.
I quickly decided that I should leave also. I took Penelope with me, and we both went back to our rooms in Pointer Tower.
I wanted to go back to my room, but I realized nobody had told Detective Hawkshaw anything.
An unremarkable hour passed before the gardener finally made his appearance.
I think she was annoyed about being made to wait outside so long. But when I told her about Freya, she fell silent.
That's disappointing.
What is?
All the statements line up with each other.
They don't just line up. Some of them even seem to specifically confirm each other. That's all the statements. Let's run through them all.
To see if anyone...
That too.
Fitz and I were up in the...
It's a bird.
Such a bird.
There.
Please don't do that.
Anything in?
Bed sheets.
That's not even remotely suspicious. That's...
There's something that just feels out of place.
Ever get
The mannequins don't...
That's not...
It's a bird.
Are those real? Nope.
They're using up all the perches. What if a real bird wanted...
Reset the puzzle. I'll do this later. A little tease.
One
What's in the other one?
birdseed. A little.
Let's see. Romance and
What?
this one appears
Nice.
looks rude.
A flower.
Yeah, it's a flower. We found it in Penny's room.
Okay.
Mean anything to you?
Why would it?
Come on.
I don't really go into Penny's room or anywhere in Pointer Tower. I just don't have a reason to.
Yes, it's my, my flower.
You don't like it?
I'm no good at caring for plants. I forget to water them. Birds are much easier. They're a lot more vocal when they get thirsty.
Do you at least like the look of the flower?
The look?
The colors? The shape of it?
Between you and me, I think it's a little vulgar.
A rather magnificent bush.
There's a letter P carved.
I don't know what that is.
Weird, considering we found it hidden in your room.
Well, my room is full of junk. There's probably a bunch of stuff hidden in there. I don't mean like... Please stop talking to me.
Does this belong to you, Poppy?
Now that's not really my style, is it?
But who else would own a tape like this?
Literally anybody? This is mine.
Really?
No, well, yes, it was. I gave it to Freya about a year ago.
What was on it?
Nothing. It was blank. Freya said she wanted to record something.
Any idea how it ended up underwater?
Maybe someone wanted to destroy it, but got really lazy. It was my mother's originally.
So, why is it up in Flora's room?
She just gets the most use out of it. Freya would borrow it too sometimes.
The whole room is a strange...
Yeah, there might be a reason. Weird.
It's someone humming a tune. It's piano music.
Is this your gramophone?
Do you know why it's cracked? Do you know anything about this beetle? Have you seen this book before? Do you know who it belongs to?
I really thought she was gonna say something there. Do you recognize any of these feathers? What do you think of your husband's hobby?
Do you have any hobbies? We met Felix, your husband. He's one of our suspects, and he seems pretty suspicious if you ask me. So, if you want to stick up for him, now's your chance.
Nice try. We spoke to your daughter Fifi. She's some kind of super intelligent scientist. You must be proud of her.
Do you and Fitz have anything to do with each other? Other than your initials?
We spoke to Hawkshaw. I assume she didn't get anything out of you either. I bet that really ticked her off.
You know the guy in the other tower? Weird astronomy professor guy?
Can you see him from your window? Can he see you?
What do you know about Penny?
I can't really imagine those two being friends, to be honest.
You never know. Do you and Poppy get along?
Nothing. Shocker. Grimore, what could you possibly be writing down?
Oh no, I gave up making notes ages ago. Now I'm just doodling in the margins. There it is. The
So-
looks that way.
We already solved it.
Ah, Penelope, our resident ornithologist.
Penny's your niece, is that right?
At this moment in time, until she marries the gardener.
She'll still be your niece.
But she'll depart from the world of the Pointers and join the Fellows. Like rats deserting a sinking ship. He should learn to make the most of his lot in life. And he does have a lot in life.
You're talking about money?
Among other things, but yes, he currently has agency over a small fortune. That is, if he hasn't already squandered it or lost it.
You two don't get on?
Oh no, we're the best of friends. My Poppy, my pride and joy. Exceptionally talented pianist from a young age. Hold on. Why is she on your list of suspects?
Because she's a suspect.
Oh no, I can personally vouch for her innocence. She'd never... Well, the truth is, she loved Freya very dearly.
If you don't mind me asking, what happened to Poppy's mother?
Primrose? She was Flora's sister, a Remington by birth. The playing field has never really been even since she left.
Where did she go?
Away. She went away. Hard to read, that one, but she seems to know what she's doing.
She's kind of mean.
You know, I simply assumed all detectives were sharp, rigorous, and thorough. Then, of course, I met you. Ah, yes, the heiress of Tangle Tower. Goodness knows what'll happen when she takes charge. I dare say she'll confiscate my telescope and replace it with a microscope.
She doesn't seem to be the type to impress her will on others.
Still, keep an eye on her. Dangerously intelligent, that one.
You sound jealous. Wait, are you two science rivals?
Oh no, we operate on very different wavelengths. Literally. What do you want me to say? He's the gardener.
He's a member of the family.
Yeah, but not the Pointer family.
What happened to his parents, do you know?
His father, Flint, is Felix's brother. Strange man. Don't think anybody knows what happened to him, but he certainly doesn't live here anymore.
What about his mother?
Emily? I've not met her. She never actually married into the fellow family. Her relationship with Flint was, it was short-lived. I don't especially want to talk about myself. Introspection often leads to vanity.
Wait, does it?
Why don't we discuss the moons of Jupiter instead?
I'm not sure if we have time. Aren't there like 10 of them?
83.
Yeah, we don't have time. Does this belong to you, Poppy?
Now that's not really my style, is it?
But who else would own a tape?
Literally anybody? I think everybody sees something
Did
different.
Freya ever tell you what she saw in it?
Not exactly. She said something about it being from a recurring nightmare.
Sorry, but if it was from a nightmare, why would you paint it and leave it in front of your bed?
Maybe she wanted to take control of it. Giving something a physical form can make it easier to deal with. Well, sometimes. When I first saw it, I thought it looked like Flora was holding a knife, with blood on the tip.
You don't think that anymore?
No, it was a stupid thing to say. The room was dark. I was in shock. I'm just an idiot.
But it was blood on the tip. If you hadn't said anything, maybe Fifi wouldn't have checked.
Exactly. It's stupid.
But we would have missed out on an important clue.
Is it a clue? Really? Tell me how it's a clue. Tell me how it helps. Nothing about the knife makes any sense. It's just freaking everyone out. Wish I'd never said anything. Feathers flashing in the light, from a sunbeam gleaming bright. I shield my eyes and turn my head, but all at once I've been misled. Light is shining on the stage, but through the railings of a cage. Foregone drifter, holding fast, days as shadow seeker past. Is it bravery or surrender, accepting that your world will render nothing darker than the gloom some four walls make round a room?
Does this
Yeah,
count?
it doesn't matter.